Are you one of those people that thought you'd work from home for the rest of your life? Grab a seat, let me tell you what you've got in common with Luka Doncic. I remember during COVID, everyone was loving that life balance of working from home full time and not having to go in the office anymore. And a lot of people, I remember having so many conversations with so many people who were basically like,
I don't think we'll ever go back to the office again. I think this is the way life's going to be.
And I found those comments so funny when people used to say that to me, because the reality was that it was a human trial on working from home permanently that we've proven to be an absolute failure. We're seeing all the signs of that going and swinging the complete opposite way now. So let me tell you a few things that I think are signs to show us that most people will spend the majority of their time working in the office rather than home moving forward. I remember all the stories of people telling me they were working 2 jobs, or they started a side hustle while they were meant to be having a full-time job and performing for the company that they worked for. I remember thinking to myself, we operate a business here in the Sydney CBD that relies on people to be in the city for us to be able to service them. I remember thinking it's really strange that everyone has this mindset that they're just going to be able to get away with that permanently. And there were all the signs back then that was never going to stick around forever, especially because while the city was a ghost town, most buildings were demolished and reconstructed into bigger towers, new infrastructure. There was all these new train lines, road projects to improve traffic coming into the city and traveling around town. And I remember thinking, what are all those building owners or business owners who are reinvesting in commercial property and buildings, like building bigger buildings, spending tens and hundreds of millions of dollars on their offices and buildings? Clearly those people knew that one day they're gonna be able to lease more property, generate more revenue out of these commercial buildings, and it would very likely swing back the other way, that people would return back to the office and work full time. And probably as a majority, they would work more in the office than they would at home. Now, this is not including the people that were already working from home full time before COVID, because there are definitely roles out there that you don't need to be in an office, or you don't need to work amongst people. A perfect example I can give is, someone who's like a coder or an artificial intelligence engineer who basically sits behind a computer in a dark room and codes for 10 hours, 20 hours at a time. Those sort of people and those sort of roles didn't ever need to work in the office and continue to not need to work in the office, especially because, some of these tasks are performed in countries all over the world, in different time zones, in different places around the world. And so I'm not talking about the roles that were already full-time working from home before, but I'm talking about all your typical office-based roles, lawyers, accountants, consultants, engineers, all these type of work that was based on turning up to an office, performing for a company, meeting your KPIs, working a 40-hour week at minimum, and performing in your role. I think we're seeing the swing go back the other way now. And that brings me to the Luka Doncic trade. And this is what you've got in common with Luka, if you were one of those believers during COVID that you'd work from home for the rest of your life. And that is, the NBA used to be a league that was player-centric, where the players called the shots. They called what they wanted to be paid, who they wanted to play with, what team they did or did not want to be transferred to. And what we saw this week with that trade was the league and the owners basically saying that they're not going to stand for that anymore. We are shifting now towards an NBA that is owner-centric, basically saying we own the companies, we own the teams, we put the money up, we take all the risk as the entrepreneur, so we call the shots, and we'll choose what player we want for our team. And what we're seeing now happen in the workplace is a very similar shift. During COVID, I remember it was an employee-centric market. Employees got to ask for whatever pay they wanted. They demanded working from home 100% of the time and complete work-life flexibility. What we're seeing now is companies and business owners drawing a line in the sand and saying that it's time that this ends. This human experiment that we had during COVID is over. Let's all get back to work and let's be real about what your expectations are of a company when you're an employee who is meant to turn up to work, perform, meet your KPIs, and try and grow and get promotions and work hard to excel and grow in your career. What we're seeing now is people basically being told if you're not back in the office 50, 60, 70% of the time, then you will no longer be eligible for your bonus, or you will take a pay cut for the duration that you work from home. And we're seeing a very strong shift back to employer-centric market where the companies and the businesses call the shots about how many days you work at home rather than the employees calling the shots. And I think this is a healthy move. So just like Luka, we're all going back to the office. If you got value out of this video, please like and subscribe the channel. And if you've got any thoughts, please comment below.